So the next thing, moving on, the next thing that I want to talk about is Grayhound announcing their first partnership with XTRFY. And before we start talking about it, I want to run through this amazing announcement video, which is a minute long, because we always have to watch the Grayhound videos because they're so great. So let's just watch this.
Oh, this keyboard fucking sucks. I need a new one.
I know a way, but it involves dark magic.
Later that same evening.
Sponsorship gods, please lead us.
X T R F Y XTRFY.
What are you guys doing?
Blood magic?
You guys know we're partnered with XTRFY, right?
No.
That's so good. I just love that. Greyhound have done such a good job. They always do a great job with their videos.
It was only recently I actually
That's great.
my YouTube recommended randomly was the Greyhound house tour.
Yep.
And obviously I saw that when that video first came up. I think it was a year ago now when that came up. And they're always a good laugh. They're not a, I guess you could say, an idol business-wise, but they are that sort of, that rough one in the dirt that you do need, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely, I mean, they've been around for a long time, and it's great to see them, a brand getting on board with them after the success at the major. It's always very tricky to get involved with a brand when your star is named Dick Stacy and puts penises on everything. So it's hard for people to, you know.
What?
Oh yeah,
Anything with
KB.
Counter-Strike
I guess KB, if you don't follow Counter-Strike, yeah, one of the
Yeah.
players, his name is Dick Stacy, and in Counter-Strike, they made the major, which is the biggest tournament in the world, and you get stickers in game, and his sticker is just, well, he wanted to try and get an actual penis in the game, but
Yeah,
Valve
I remember that
said no.
Didn't he get
That's
denied
far out.
3 times? Like
That's
it was,
glorious.
Yeah, but so he
in
tried to get a
actual
penis
honesty.
in the game, but ended up just settling with just the word dick, which is still pretty great for them. So
Yeah.
And his signature at for anything is just a giant
Oh
penis.
yes. If you're
And
on the
so when I was at IEM last year, there were just like kids with big Greyhound posters and just a giant penis on it, because that's the D in his name. I have a lot of respect for the Greyhound team, and
yeah,
That's
Mr. Greyhound.
glorious. That's amazing.
no, branding. William Gray is the owner. That's why it's called Greyhound with an A. And in their Twitter's great. Like I do like their content a lot. It's always original. They have a good laugh. They describe themselves just as a bunch of mates that play games. So I think they got a good brand. And yeah, it's great to see XTRFY, and it's also XTRFY's first entrance into ANZ, which is pretty big for that company. So I think they're Swedish. Aussie, do you know?
Ooh,
Pretty sure they're
I
Swedish.
believe they are Swedish, yes. And they're also not a brand that is big
Yeah, they're
on
Swedish.
sponsorships. I think like they've been with NIP
NIP,
forever.
yeah. Is that it?
And then no, so last year they partnered with a UK-based organization called Imperial.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty good friends with the guys at Imperial. That was pretty huge for them. I believe that was also XTRFY's entry into keeping stocks in the UK after like they had a electronics crash before the whole Brexit thing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the specifics, but at one point, basically, electronics going into the UK were going to have a higher fee if they didn't already have a business or something under the UK government or kingdom, whatever it's called. I'm not really sure the specifics, but XTRFY then decided to partner with Imperial, UK-based, which definitely got their name around in the UK more, you know. And then now with Greyhound, I believe, do they only sell through M-Wave?
I haven't actually looked yet. But yeah, I would assume that it would be M-Wave first because they usually are the ones that start.
M-Wave usually are first.
Yeah.
You do have a point there.
Yeah, so it's good.
But yeah, it's huge. They're expanding. I have been told their quality is really good, and it also makes me happy that there's more competition with ANZ sponsors. Not sure if you sort of feel the same as I do, but I feel electronics wise, there's actually been like specific to brands. I think there's actually been quite a lacking care of sponsorships in this region, and that's because I feel there's never been much competition.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
sponsorships in ANZ's always tricky. I think it's totally different to a lot of other regions. And just marketing budgets down here are so small that, you know, deals not only are they just smaller because of that, but they're also much more competitive between the teams. So, and also like the teams that have great relationships and long-lasting relationships tend to keep those going for a long period of time. So if you're a new team starting up and trying to make way with these endemic sponsors, it's often very hard to get an inroad. And I mean, this is probably a good example. So Greyhound has been around for over a year. They've been a #1 CS:GO team for a very long time with a good following. And right now, I'd say they might even be almost eclipsing Renegades in their popularity, at least locally, based off their performance. And they're certainly like on the same level in terms of like marketing value, I would say, for those teams. So yeah, and
I'm pretty sure they're their first sponsor because it's all been funded privately.
yeah, exactly. It is. And
What was Shui Gaming with Greyhound?
I have no idea.
I'm not really sure. Shui Gaming is just, they're sort of like AK Racing, you know, the chair companies, but very private. They made the Greyhound chairs and map.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that one.
I'm not sure if they're actually a sponsor or not.
Maybe he just gave some free chairs.
Maybe, who
They
knows?
could have been a partner because there's a lot of organizations that support companies that support organizations on a partnership level, so they give discounts or free products, but it's not on a sponsorship level.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I don't know, if you get custom branded stuff, that's on the lines of sponsorship, not partnership to me.
Oh, pet peeve for Chris. Here we go.
It depends, though. We don't know. We don't have access to their
No,
contracts.
we have no
so-
idea yet, but
Sure.
there's definitely a difference between a partnership and a sponsorship.
Oh,
and,
yeah, huge.
And one of my pet peeves
Yeah.
is when people
Say they're
misappropriate the
sponsored,
words.
but it's actually partnered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
Oh.
really and it's definitely misrepresenting to like your fans and players that look up to you what the situation is. So
My favorite three: Jerky XP, Phalor Grip, and Rise Energy Drink. Oh, they're our best sponsors. I swear. No.
yeah, use our code for 10% off. Yes. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. We can probably talk for days on that. Yeah, so definitely if you're a player and just make sure you know what you're getting into with different sponsors and all that. So